Peacemaker is back.
Technically the first live-action series in the DCU. Technically.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that we have Superman, the movie, and then Peacemaker is the thing they follow it up with, because they are very contrasting.
They're very, wary of, you have to watch this to then be prepped for that. I don't think they'll be making the mistakes of Marvel with Thunderbolts. Half those characters existed in Disney shows.
Giving you too much homework to do.
Yeah. Where with this, it's just a small side story of, what Peacemaker did that summer or whatever.
Yes.
And it's not too important to whatever the grand scheme of things are.
Yeah, it's a weird episode. I can't not think that. There's a little bit of setup. There's kind of 5 to 10 minutes of stuff that matters for the plot of the season.
Yeah.
And then we do a bunch of very James Gunn stuff for about 30, and then they cap it off with what we're actually doing this season.
Yeah, I spent the last week binging Peacemaker. It's a good season of television. I think we can have a bad habit of, if it's not Breaking Bad or The Wire, then what's the point?
Best ever or worst ever.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good season of television.
Yeah.
I just wasn't watching it going, I can't wait for next week. But it was perfectly fine to binge.
Was season 1 as crass?
Well, this is the most crass it's been. That orgy thing was...
Yeah.
Oh my God, how many times did I mention that rabbit woman's camel toe?
Because this episode did feel more crass than I think I remember, but maybe Superman kind of reset me, and I'm thinking truth, justice, and the American way, and then suddenly this.
I didn't feel too much of a tonal whiplash, which I guess is just a season 1, get everyone talking.
The rest of the season's probably going to follow through on a lot of that. I think if you don't like James Gunn and what he does in some of his more wacky projects, this is going to feel very strange, because this isn't in any way Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
He's a very broad director, but he definitely has a weird side, and this is embracing a lot of that. And it's kind of shocking that he's even allowed to do it, considering it's such a big thing.
He's in charge of the studio
which is
now.
Crazy.
And then for this second season, it's now officially in the DCU. We have a last time previously on the DCU,
yes,
is the wording.
Which is, in other words, this is the only stuff that has ever happened in the DCU.
I mean, me and you have talked about this before, the whole, how serious do you want to take this, really? I don't know if James taking it seriously or he takes it seriously because he knows other people take it seriously, but in terms of, the canonicity of Suicide Squad and Peacemaker Season 1 seems really important to some people.
It is semi because there has been no break or gap. If it had been even a few years,
yeah.
But he was put in a tough spot, so I think he's trying to kind of make himself a Bible of it as well.
Other than, in that they mention, they dub her saying Justice Gang instead of Justice League.
I noticed that they cut away at the right time.
Maybe you could call in the Justice Gang.
The joke being about Green Arrow or Aquaman is now made about Green Lantern.
One time I puked all over Green Lantern. I got seasick from flying on the green magic carpet.
Oh, I didn't know they changed that one.
Yeah,
right.
And then, so instead of it being Aquaman fucks fish, it's Green Lantern is a puke
freak. Yeah.
I knew it was coming, but it was kind of weird for me to have you watch the finale, you go to the next one, and then it's the re-edited version.
Yeah, completely changed it.
I suppose that was the only thing they definitely felt they had to change.
Yes.
Because other than that, the Justice League showing up and some offhand comments about which superhero has what fetish, it really isn't that important overall to the universe.
Although this season is dealing with dimensions and
straight away.
Yeah, which it's interesting that they set that up, but then they're not using that to transition us from the DCEU to the DCU. That's completely unrelated, the fact that we're in another dimension.
Obviously, we had that pocket dimension that his dad had back in season 1. And even though it was a wide open space, we obviously only saw this little section. It's not explained beyond that.
Correct.
So I was left to believe that it was all his.
It was more of a Luthor thing, yeah.
But then turns out it's basically an interdimensional storage house.
Yeah, it's not the room of requirement. It's a storage locker that everyone has one, which is a more fun way to do it in some ways, because it makes the dad a little less of a genius because all he did was tap into something that obviously already existed.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny that you set up these little rules that everyone, it's a neighborhood basically, everyone has their own little spaces.
And he has a neighbor who seemingly ignores him, like that weird alien.
And all this happens in the first 5 minutes. They are definitely telling you that this is a wacky show where wacky stuff's going to happen.
Well, it's meant to be resetting. Where are they now?
Well, the next half an hour is set on the status quo, which is Peacemaker's life still kind of sucks despite the fact he saved the world.
Yeah, he's moved into his dad's house.
Yes, no one's in a good spot. His ex-girlfriend, I can't remember how much they got together.
They didn't.
They didn't at all? That's between seasons? Well, they had sex on a boat at some point, according to the little recap. Basically, everyone's life sucks. and they're doing dimensional rifts. So a guy whose life sucks has now gone to another dimension where his life is great, and his brother that he killed as a child is alive.
And his dad's awesome. Yeah, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop where it's like, oh, your brother and your dad, they all say I love you. Seems like a great positive male dynamic, but then the twist is it's a super racist world that they are the white power leaders in or whatever.
Yeah, there's still time. I kind of hope they do something more than just it's the good version of reality, because I don't want to run into the MCU's multiverse problem.
I was a bit disappointed in that like we've just spent the last 5 years seeing this fall down.
And it's not even just Marvel though, but every show seems to have a multiverse, and we're getting punched in the face from every direction by multiverses.
Yeah, the only one I like is the Invincible one.
I guess because they were all just evil marks in the show Invincible at least, so they haven't really gone into it too deep.
Yeah.
Because it's very dangerous territory, and like we're exhausted.
Particularly when he can walk 1 minute and enter into a world where, well, but in this episode, he has now killed his alternate self.
Yes.
Which means he could, in theory, step on in.
It's a lot for them to play with. They also cover the fact of the multiverse a little bit of he can't go through to wherever he wants. He only knows about one.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe there is another Peacemaker. It's just 10 kilometers that way through a doorway that's unmarked. They cover themselves in that regard that not everyone is replaceable, which is the main worry. There's a big story engine here. Like, they can do a lot with this season with the premise they reveal in the first 5 minutes. So it's like, you can see a lot of ways for this to go, which is not the same case with a lot of other shows recently where you're just like, oh, it's very stock standard.
Yeah. I actually was quite positive on this episode and felt that it had a stronger vision. I guess I got the sense that I was watching someone who now had full control of something.
For better or worse.
For better.
Oh, no, I mean, it's both. It's for better and worse.
Because it's very weird. Like, James Gunn did a good job with the Suicide Squad. You got Peacemaker. And then around that time, got the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah. This episode doesn't give us a ton to talk about that isn't just speculation. Like, there's a lot they can be doing here.
Yeah.
But the episode itself, for me, you were very positive on it, but I started strong and it ended strong. That whole middle section.
Well, what middle section? Because I quite like he goes and has the interview, the cameos of the Justice Gang.
Like, everyone kind of sucks. I don't not like the characters, but it is just like Green Lantern's a dick, Max Lord is a dick, Hawkgirl's a dick, Peacemaker's a dick. Like, everyone is a dick.
Was it weird seeing them here after you saw them in a PG Superman movie?
They weren't in it long enough for them to, like, go too weird. I think Max Lord was more of a shock, especially because it's just Sean Gunn again.
Yeah.
But it is weird that everyone is like a James Gunn style dick. I'm not against it because it is the first episode and you do have to do a lot of the status resets. But, like, you've got Vigilante on the phone, like, that conversation just to be like, yeah, both these characters are here.
Vigilante still exists.
Yeah.
Because that's his only scene.
They're here and they kind of suck still.
Yeah.
Like, as people. We'll show you more of them later. So it's like, that's what I mean by this episode doesn't really do anything apart from that 5 and end.
I quite liked seeing Rick Flag Sr. because he killed Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, but then has now introduced Rick Flag Sr. I liked Creature Commandos.
Oh my God, bro,
shit.
really?
No, wrong one. Hold on.
God damn.
That's not my dick.
You're right, actually. I was quite positive on it, and now I've actually sat down to actually chew on it and think about it. I've realised there hasn't actually been much that went on this episode.
Which isn't a bad thing, because
No.
it is just, and it's only a 40-minute episode. Yeah. Like, I think he knew what he wanted to do in this time frame.
And most of season 1 is 35 to 40.
Yeah, well, the ending of the episode is basically he gets drunk at the orgy, or he gets everythinged at the orgy. It is actually very funny while he's getting high, that whole story about John Cena not knowing how to do drugs. Have you heard this?
No.
Oh, John Cena has basically never done any drugs. He doesn't even know how to rip a bong.
They had to teach me how to do a bong rip.
So he had to get, like, the gaffer, lighting guys, and the prop guys to teach him how to do drugs.
Brilliant.
They do cover up a lot of it and, like, cut away a little early on a few things, because I'm sure even after a pretty good lesson from some gaffer,
It still doesn't look great.
he goes to the other universe where everything's fun and his brother's alive. At one point was dating James Gunn's wife that he likes, and then he accidentally / defending himself kills that universe's Peacemaker.
Leaving us to assume he will live between both worlds for a bit.
It's the dating two girls at once. You're running between them. You put on a mustache or change your coat or something.
I feel like Peacemaker, particularly at that point, is petty enough that he's like, well, I am just going to change places. I'm just going to walk through this door and live this life.
Yeah, that's the thing. They'll have to give you a reason that our Harcourt is special or something.
Well, it's set up that Adebayo and John are now aware that he has some alternate dimension space.
Yes.
And Rick Flag Sr. has now got someone watching John, and this is all based around the fact that Rick Flag knows that Peacemaker killed his son, so he's just kind of looking for an excuse, basically, to take him out.
There's going to be a lot of drama. Like, the show has so much to work with, so I'm not worried about it getting dull or anything like that. Like, they have so much that they've set up, so I'm excited to see where it goes. I do hope they lean a little bit further away from the crass middle bit, like that interview scene where it's just everyone calling him a dick. It did go on too long for me.
Yeah, it did.
I think Drinker and the like that are a bit tired of James Gunn, this is probably going to hurt them a bit, because I think if you're tired of James Gunn, this is very James Gunn.
Well, it's weird. You know, the intro to Creature Commandos, there's the animated version of James Gunn, because he wrote all of them. And some people took offence to that, like, look at this fucking dick. He's animated himself and he's cast his wife and all his friends and his brother. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but I think James is happy that everyone's focusing on him rather than going, oh, and these actresses are just diversity hires. They're all just too busy ragging on the guy in charge rather than the actors he's hired. Then it's probably for the best.
I do agree with that, but also the actors haven't done anything bad yet. We are also a little tired of being able to blame actors so easily because of like The Last of Us and stuff. I'd rather criticize the show as a whole and all the actual problems with it.
But I think, to be positive, everybody acts really well. I think John Cena is only getting better as an actor. And I think in Peacemaker and this episode as well, he showed a really good range. You know, like this is someone who's highly abused, like has had a horrible life and abused by his racist dad, killed his brother, and now he's in like his dream scenario where they all loved each other, they all saved the day, and they all live in a mansion.
Yeah, that's what I mean by they've set up all that stuff so well.
Yeah, that you can't wait to see where he goes.
It's like interesting sci-fi premise that has been done a lot, but you could do it really fun.
But there's no big bad just set up yet, is there? There's no big, we got to save the problem here.
So yeah, I guess the bad guy is the shenanigans that will ensue rather than being a specific person. Unless Rick Flag, I guess.
I think it thinks it's being more rebellious than it actually is.
But The Boys exists.
I think the intro is not, both intros, season 1 2, aren't nearly as funny or as iconic as they think they are.
I really liked season 1. I think this one, I was like, I've seen it now.
I remember watching the intro in season 1, initially with 30 seconds going, wow, this is wild that they're dancing so poorly. Then it kept going, and then you're just like, okay, yeah, whatever.
That's fair. I think that is James Gunn, though. Like, that was the interview section for me. I was like, haha, and I was like,
I think all of James Gunn's projects I always find I really enjoy, but I never find I love, including Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I remember watching that going, that was really good, but I don't love it as everyone else.
Don't tell Marco about that. Guardians 3 made him cry.
Yeah, I think Suicide Squad was probably his best superhero thing. I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad films.
Suicide Squad tread the line really well for me of James Gunn humor mixed with everything else.
Fuck you then, you crypt keeper looking bitch.
Yeah, so overall, I think good episode. There's a lot of stuff they can do. We really like John Cena. In some regards, I think because of The Boys, I think having two superhero shows at the same time that are like very similar.
I saw someone comparing the orgies, like they felt that The Boys orgy scene was more provocative than this orgy
like
scene.
Comparing orgies.
Yeah, I was like, that feels weird.
Which are both very background. Like, both of them are like orgies for the shock value, but also that's not what the scene is about.
Yeah, it continues to be a good show. I don't think it's excellent, brilliant stuff, but I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think next week will be much more interesting as we're going to actually be able to get into what they're doing.
I kind of wish there was a double drop, because you feel like you're just there. Okay, we've set it up. Now let's begin.
Realistically, because not much changes apart from the fact they really want to hammer home that his life sucks, you probably could cut out the entire middle section for me.
Of what, just going through the motions with all the characters?
Yeah, just reminding us that all these characters exist and that people suck.
So, have we said anything of substance?